So I went out on the town last night. I got invited out by a buddy, and we went out to a little bar in El Cerrito. They had some live music, which was good. Oh, Silver Wolf's on. See that. I'm just wondering what happened to the video that I was just watching. You know, YouTube used to be fucking around. Say hi to Silver Wolf.
Good drive.
Okay, and I gotta find this video. So, as I was...
Hello, ape.
Oh, fuck off. J's over to aces now. So, as I was saying, I got invited out to a show last night, and it ended up being like very, very different from what I am used to watching. So I went out. So this was like a queer honky tonk, I guess, which is like honky tonk but with queer people, and so the performers, what I'm accustomed to, like at punk rock and metal shows, is like usually the bands get progressively louder and faster and heavier, but at this show the performers are like two solo performers. Well, there's a solo performer, then there was a full band, and then there was like a duo, right? And they got progressively softer and more mellow and slower, and I was like, whoa, like by the end of it, like it was really, really good, but like at 11 o'clock at night, you're like, oh shit, I'm like ready to go to bed and I can't fall asleep at this bar, right? So that was really interesting. But I may go see one of them again tonight. I'm up because I'm up and got a bunch of shit to do today. I was trying to go back to sleep. I couldn't fall back to sleep, so I decided to fucking get up and try to handle some business. So I started getting very aggravated about 45 minutes ago or so, trying to deal with the Employment Development Department and trying to get my motherfucking movie check. But in the meantime, I turned on this video and we're just listening to these folks rambling. So we'll roll on this one and then possibly watch some other stuff. I'm not going to bother to sound check.
Yeah. Which makes it...
Commenters, you can tell me in the comments if I sound like shit. Probably. I always do. There is no chat. So, yeah, I love how it tells me that. There is a chat. There's just nobody in the chat.
And I downplay it because I don't really want to admit it, but like this has seriously caused my life huge.
Our dating stream yesterday, and they're tired of people coming after them on the internet, so they're going to the FBI. There was talk of revenge porn. I'm assuming that's against grace. Yeah, but I mean, you act like a dickhead and you get what you get, right? I don't know.
I can't tell you how many times our entire life is, it's amazing that we're not paranoid.
Yeah.
You have to be extremely psychologically stable to withstand the weaponization of everything around you.
Yeah.
Weaponizing local police, multiple states, multiple locations,
Mm-hmm.
weaponizing hotel staff,
In-person
managers,
visits from John, vandalizing,
sending
harassing
us
me.
pictures of that you know where we are, sending pictures of our vehicle.
Yeah.
It's a and what is the justification for any of it? I'll tell you what the justification of it is, right? And you can ask whether an FBI agent would be like, well, there's an interesting thing here. The justification is, though there is no evidence, and both of us have totally denied it, that I sexually assault you or sexually or abuse you,
Yeah.
but I'm so good at it that you don't admit the abuse.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a non-theory. No one has that theory for years, despite having every obvious way
Isn't
to.
it based on claims, like statements that you both have made on live streams? Like the
avoid
whole
the
thing is
situation.
based on your own fucking words and actions.
You deny all of this abuse, and then they terrify you so much that you become destabilized. And when I firmly kind of help, like Grace, stop,
Uh-huh.
they then say there's more confirmation of abuse.
Yep.
Which makes you even more and then attack you in a million other ways, which makes you even more terrified. And I have to say, Grace, you're putting us in danger. And then the loop continues. No normal person, no one even vaguely normal, thinks that that's a theory.
Yeah.
And the much easier explanation of the whole thing is bitter losers, which the internet is full of, psychotic people that the internet is full of.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
the smirk on Grace's face makes me think that she knows how she has helped to engineer this, right? But hey, good morning, Sammy.
a father and
Good
his
to see you.
daughter and try to come up with the most disgusting kind of lie imaginable out of envy, and see it as, and try to justify it when they're actually psychopaths.
Yeah. And do you know how I know that's true? Because it helps to get a fresh perspective on things. If you look at what happened to Ruby after she hung out with us,
Right.
she
Or
got
Mark
a
Fusion.
video. Well, but the Ruby thing is worse. Ruby got a rando on Facebook adding her and sending her a message of a video of her house saying, "You better disavow the Thorpes," which is so retarded. You better
Right.
disavow the Thorpes or something could happen to you.
Let's say 24 hours.
Yeah.
That is super creepy. Y'all have some next level fucking trolls and stalkers, man.
Ruby, the most innocent fucking person
Right.
ever. The
And
most wholesome person we've ever had on
that
the show.
person knows that whether they're actually connected with this conspiracy, that person knows that Ruby.
And remember, these people are like in the Christian, right? Like on the Christian side of things. And I've said it before, Christians can be the worst. Christians do the most devious shit, right? Justifying it by saying that, they're trying to do the Christian thing, right? And so they will just do this crazy, devious shit to try and, make their point, lead you to the Lord. I think Christians are the worst in this regard sometimes.
His mind is going to go to the attack on this RV that occurred in Sturbridge, right?
Yeah.
And me spending 12 days in prison for going for a walk.
Yes.
And all the rest of the insanity.
Yes. Yes.
And jail.
It was you violated a fucking protective order from the courts, right? It wasn't for going for a walk. You could sit there and
Also knows that kids are not exempted from this.
Her mother's not exempt.
Right.
Her
It
mother
doesn't just
been
so
through.
if you are friends with a couple of streamers who are moderates,
Yeah.
we're called liberals by conservatives and conservatives by liberals, which means we're like moderates.
Yeah.
Who are a little edgy.
Mm-hmm.
in a
A
very
little.
2024 way, your life is, if you just say like, I'm friends with these people, I don't even endorse them, I'm friends with them, your life is subject to becoming, your family's life is subject to becoming a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's what that coward OPC Don originally said before he became one of them.
Yeah.
He said, like, I'm afraid that my brother's kids on Facebook are going to be, used as pawns.
Mm.
Of course, then he became one of them.
Yes.
But, I mean, he did at least, recognize, like, yeah, being even moderately supportive of you. So, if the FBI wanted to investigate, which I think they would, at least out of curiosity, like, what?
Yeah.
They would start, like, they could contact people who would say, and it doesn't mean you're, like, subject to criminal investigation. They would contact people and say, like, is that true?
Good morning, Christian Carpenter. This is Grace and Ben Thorpe of Thorpe TV. I guess they're reporting their online stalkers and harassment to the FBI from what they're saying here. There's a whole documentary. Well, there's a couple of documentaries about them, but one in particular called The Worst Family on YouTube. If you want more like back info about this, but basically there's repeated evidence of abuse, child abuse, which they've posted themselves online, and spousal abuse. This guy went through a whole messy divorce with his wife, and they have since made multiple statements about having he and his daughter here having a sexual relationship. Right, she is of age at this point, but yeah, it's just it's all over the place. It's really cringe, really weird stuff. Sometimes they act perfectly normal, but if you watch them for any length of time, you will know that there's nothing normal about this.
True? And they'd be like, yeah, that's true. The amount of hate, vitriol, and actual, like, life-altering criminal activity these people are subject to is, it's frightening. It's crazy.
Also, Lalo's father, Lalo's family, is now somewhat being targeted. And, local police say, like, well, that's just what you get when you're on the internet. Actually, no. You're wrong about that.
More than anything else, other than, like, protecting life, the U.S. government's number one concern is to protect the most sacred right Americans have, which is beyond life itself, is freedom to speak.
Yeah.
This is a banging for sure. Yeah, they do act like a husband and wife a bit, like a BBC 420.
It's seen as the central thing in our democracy.
Yeah.
Without which all the other rights will be lost. And I don't really think that's a left wing or right wing. I mean, that's a very centrist position to say that America has a commitment to protecting free speech and not telling people, like a lot of local police told us.
Does she think she thinks she has to shake the V8 every time she takes a drink?
You shouldn't express yourself on the internet. That's not.
Yeah.
Protect and serve. It doesn't say shut up people who. And their assumption is it's got nothing to do with, maybe it's true that it's more like the FBI should be doing this, but, like, I think they will do this. I think they've been involved in cases. I don't think you need a dead body before they'll intervene, because
it's not the FBI's job to protect your freedom of speech, and nor is your freedom of speech being violated. You're still on YouTube saying whatever the fuck you want. If you don't want people to mess with you, keep your business off the internet. Yeah, for sure. That's one way. Especially, like, just really, like, they're definitely, have overshared a lot of shit.
If local law enforcement will respond to me calling them saying
She has a video up of him being arrested out of their trailer, violating a protective order made by the courts in lieu of an investigation, right, into these allegations of abuse and things that have occurred online, right? And so she posted the video where he gets arrested in the RV when he's supposed to be, have no contact with her. And so eventually they got that protective order removed, right? But he violated it multiple times, and now he's sitting here bitching about it. When the evidence of it was because of their own activities on YouTube and Discord, right? Like, they ratted themselves out.
I think Ruby's had too many cups of coffee, which they said they would do.
Yeah.
Then I don't see where the federal law enforcement agency, which has received a ton of funding,
Yeah.
Since 9/11 and the war on terror, wouldn't say, okay, this is a form of. It's actually not domestic; it's domestic and international, sort of, whatever you want to call it: cyber harassment, cyber stalking,
Yeah.
Sexual crimes, and the FBI does list those items on its webpage.
No, yeah, harassment and stalking, those could fall into that category.
As like things they do.
But nobody's violating your free speech.
Because local law enforcement doesn't really have the
Capability, the means.
like the scope to look, especially when it takes place in multiple locations and actually, I don't know, it just sort of, this is the point of the FBI, to handle things that local law enforcement. Now, why local law enforcement didn't help us to connect with the FBI? I mean, that's a failure of local law enforcement.
But they have suggested it. They've suggested,
I think they're just
regularly.
It's just a different way of initiating. It was interesting because I guess I'm not allowed to talk about this, but like, let's say I don't know. I guess I'm not supposed to talk about it. I don't like.
As your official legal advisor, run it by me with the stream muted. We're back on.
Let's say it, not in regard to any particular case, but when a crime occurs in
Nobody needs to be taking legal advice from Grace, but so
the course of court proceedings, the court itself doesn't press charges or anything like that. You actually have to report that to the state police.
Wait, say that again. When a crime occurs during a court proceeding?
Yeah, for example, perjury. So if you want to say like, well, that's a perjurious statement, you don't say it to the judge in the case, which you would think that's who would be the person who catches it.
Right.
You have to go to the state police barracks. I mean, I'm sure you can call them on the phone, but you go to the state police, report it, they document it, and then they forward it to the attorney general's office or the district attorney, so that it's handled by actually the executive branch, right?
Yeah.
Not the judicial branch.
Yeah.
Because crime is handled by the executive branch. Oddly, the judicial system doesn't have a mechanism for pressing charges. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, right.
And that makes sense.
Which makes sense.
It's a certain amount of sense, but it's like
it's a different system.
counterintuitive. You'd think that like a judge, because it will eventually then
I don't know if they're correct about that or not, but it kind of sounds legit.
again come before a judge.
Yes.
You have to go out of the judicial system into the law enforcement to get back into the criminal system to play it out.
Matt C says judges lock people up during court. Being held in contempt of court is different.
Only for
you imbecile.
only for criminal behavior towards the judge, not between the judge, not between the plaintiff and the defendant.
Right. Like a.
And of course, the judge, whoever jury, after passing the judicial system, after adjudicating something, will then put you back into enforcement in either prison or.
I was going to complain about the quality of their live stream, but actually for being in motion on the road, it's not too terrible.
Parole or whatever, which I think is actually part of the justice system.
Yeah, that's what a judge gives you. Like
No,
a
but
judge
I mean-
sentences you.
When you go to jail,
Why are these two creeping me out so much? I know they're father and daughter. Yeah.
that's under the aegis of the court.
I think she's actually the stepdaughter, too. I'm not sure if there was... Somebody said she is not his biological daughter.
Right? Not.
And she is like 21 or 22, so she's a consenting adult at this point, but...
Law enforcement. Like, in
Yeah.
other words, the police
Yeah, they live in the RV.
aren't in charge of correctional officers.
No,
Together.
I don't think so.
But if something happens to you in prison, like a correctional officer you feel abuses you, you have to report it again to the police, who are separate from it,
I think so. That
and
sounds
file
right.
charges, which will then, if charges are pressed, will go to court, and you will be a witness, and then that person becomes part of the judicial system. Anyways, it's the separation of powers thing, but it's kind of interesting. I think you find it interesting.
Yeah.
And that's why you're going to study as part of your.
I believe she came of age before the divorce. So he and the wife are now divorced. The other children live with her, or I think one of them lives on their own. But she came of age before the divorce. But all this shit had started happening before that.
Fort Picado 2020. What the hell is going on
2040.
here? 2040 campaign. Study the law.
Hey, Spooky, good to see you.
Both formally in law school and informally in
That's inconvenient.
informally in
See the look on his face? He thought he was getting pulled over for a second.
in these situations.
Yeah.
Of just kind of helping me.
I'm
to-
learning.
Yeah, I am too. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
And I think it makes good content. I think it's going to be, kind of a new arc, a new season.
Yeah.
We used to kind of be like, okay, like let's have the internet take care of the internet, and let's not snitch.
Hmm.
But obviously, that strategy has now got to give way to like incredibly aggressive legal action.
Yeah.
Incredibly aggressive legal action.
Aggressive.
And if you don't
Ben
think
is
Grace and I
very
are
aggressive.
capable of incredibly aggressive legal action, then shoot your shot. Come back up here and give us more evidence, man, because I love it. You want to play brinksmanship games, like, we're ready.
Hey, William Bigelow.
And the idea that you think that we're weak, that we're stupid, that we're naive, that we're weak after what we've been through, you ain't got no idea the kind of firepower that's going to come. Because it's not us, it's not just us we're doing it for. That we literally saw a man hanging off a bridge who I have no doubt has been put through, maybe not internet, but, well, the internet's always involved in it, right?
Almost always, yeah.
He
Almost
might have texted some woman like, bitch, you shouldn't treat me like that. And she ruined his life over it. Now he's hanging
Yeah, that's probably a bad way to start the text.
off an overpass, right?
Yeah.
And that ain't right.
I had smasher. Yeah, she's a pretty girl, but yeah, she's all over the place. She's completely fucking unhinged.
No.
It's okay to be a young man. It's okay to go off sometimes. It's okay, verbally or on text. It's okay. It's okay to get frustrated sometimes. We don't need
Bro, Joe,
massive
good morning. Hi.
police intervention
I'm all snorting snot like that.
because someone
She's going to sneeze in the mic.
is masculine.
Armand says the executive branch is in charge of prisons and jails. The judicial decides who goes to said prisons and jails.
Yeah, I think it might be a little more complicated than that. Oh, this is the wrong place. That's it. That's the FBI.
Okay. Service vehicles only. It's not going to work.
Bro, Joe, we're watching Thorpe TV. This is Grace and Ben Thorpe riding around in their RV trying to give... They're talking about going to the FBI over cyber stalking and harassment. Because they have gotten themselves in a whole mess of trouble regarding their own statements and actions online. Somehow they think this is all protected under free speech, and he doesn't realize that actions have consequences in real life. So
turn around. So show it, Kino. Oh, it's part of the Department of Justice. That's great.
Federal Bureau of Investigation, Boston Division. There it is.
And we're not trying to be like jerks making something into content that shouldn't be made into content, but hey, this is our highest level of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And we are participating in the law enforcement system.
Yeah.
And we're showing people
just,
how that can be
her
done.
Nose is just keeps dripping. It's probably should sponsor them, yeah.
And we'll report on our journey. And should be interesting.
It should be interesting. I will say that.
But they really do make it seem like we do not want you to go here.
Yeah, they do.
Where's the entrance?
Don't know. Joe Shabatoni says there's an RV circling.
I mean, it just Google Maps sends you to a place where it's like, no. All it says is no.
Service vehicles only. Get out of here.
So we're just going to have an initial conversation.
Yeah.
Broad strokes.
Yeah.
So
I
to
should have
clarify, right, they're going to the FBI because their own followers on YouTube and social media are stalking and harassing them and reporting things that they say and do on YouTube and other social media platforms.
White shirt. And I'm going to take this microphone off.
Yeah, we're never going to see probably any sexual interactions between the two of them. At best, you get him like slapping Grace in the face and pushing her off of a bed. But there is a spicy story that Grace once told about her performing fellatio on a bottle, like a Coke bottle, that was between his legs, as a simulation, of course.
Should I take mine off? Okay.
Damn.
Whoa.
They ain't playing. Thanks a lot, Timothy McVeigh. Because was it in a federal building?
There you go. 100% this is going to be on the news. FBI building in lockdown. All right, we'll see you guys in a bit. Bye-bye.
Nice.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
All right, so that was the video. Just a couple of fucking characters right there.
maintains a balanced budget while funding our state's most urgent needs for critical infrastructure, public safety, and emergency services, Walz said in a statement. Last week, Walz also released his own budget proposal. It did not include the settlement.
Go to the FBI and ask about the attempted Trump assassination. Hey, Hazard, he removed it as he knew it was a problem. Right, yeah, I think they will be laughed at. Like this are clout chasers and nothing more. I agree, and they just do the fucking shenanigans. With Bim Job and Andrew Wilson too doing debates. So Ben is like a debater with like the most cringe takes on things. That was one of the things he said was, well, if hypothetically I did have sexual relations with my adult daughter, well, it might be immoral, but it wouldn't be illegal. Or, would it be immoral? This whole question, I just, I don't know. Let's see what we put in here. All right, we'll finish up Jim Bob's panel here before I got to get out of here.
Time code? What is it? It's okay. It's okay. It was authentic. So
1 hour 30.
1 hour 30. Okay, thanks.
You have to start doing like Kotel. Every time he does an open panel, he's like TOS. He's like.
Well, it's usually fine.
Not to get a charge for wasting the government's time. Apologizing for sex with his stepdaughter. Wowzer. Yeah. It's Labor Day weekend in the U.S. Thinking about doing karaoke today. Oh, that'd be interesting. Might check that out. Yeah. So I'm starting up with I'm going back to a group that I was previously in with my regular doctor tonight. So I'll be doing that, and I'm supposed to be going back to work. Of course, I haven't heard back from them yet. They've been harassing me for fucking weeks, and now that it's actually time for me to go back to work, they won't return my fucking calls. So typical.
It's like, and I'm good at editing stuff out. You lose the live chat in the review of the video, but that's the only disadvantage. Yeah. But I'd rather people speak freely, to some extent.
Well, on Putin, my understanding is that he's a very legalistic guy. People say he comes from the
is
KGB.
That his mustache? Look at that mustache.
But he was just I think you call it a paper pusher. But he was a legal guy. He's obsessed with, agreements, things like that. And when you see what he says about justification for the war, it's all about agreements which haven't been kept to. That's really the way he thinks.
So, I mean, it's hard for us to, see the full picture.
I'm just waiting for either dude pictured right now in the top right or bottom left. Somebody's going to flash a dick on this stream.
See, so far you guys are saying Putin kissed the book because he wants a bunch of people on his side to do a thing, and he'll do that, and he doesn't give a shit. And obviously that demonstrates he's clearly not a practicing Orthodox, let alone even a
Good morning,
soft
Al Trucker. Good to see you.
Christian probably wouldn't do such a thing. Now, I have a question. Given that there is some documentation that that there's some reasonable belief that that Catholics hold that they believe in the same God as Islam, but there's some weird iteration or mode of it or whatever. Have we ever seen the Pope kiss the book or lick a rock?
I think John Paul II did or something.
Equivalent.
Did he?
I think he
that would
prayed
be
for
interesting
Islam.
too.
I think there's a statement.
So what they're talking about right now, for those who didn't see the previous episode, earlier in the stream, they showed a video where Putin kisses the Quran, and he's meeting with some, I don't know if they're called muftis or whatever, but yeah, it's like some show of solidarity he did with Islam, apparently, that these guys are very disgusted by.
Of John Paul II saying, I pray for Islam, the religion, not the people. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Austin,
wasn't a Pope a bouncer from Argentina previously? Isn't that
a
what
bouncer?
his occupation was? Yeah, I believe he was a
A
bouncer.
bouncer?
No,
in
he
that
was
What?
not a bouncer.
That's
He was
hilarious. Opener to a movie, though.
No, dude, he was kind of one of these Latin American priests for the revolution. You know, like the socialist priests. But first, he was like on the side of a military dictatorship, and then he repented from that. So like he played both sides basically. He was on the side of the on the winning team when the military dictatorship was in power, and then
Hmm.
when the military dictatorship was no longer in power, he disavowed them, and he went the full Marxist, like the
Hmm.
poor are the reason for Christ.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Austin, you have a segue for us. What do you got?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Just from what we were talking about earlier, I was talking in the chat about this as well, but you see a lot of the Dawa guys nowadays
Dawa,
attacking
yeah.
Christianity, almost from the
A
left.
little too fast.
Muhammad Hijab was on a stream with Sneeko, basically saying it's better to be Skittles than to be a Christian. And Ali
Right.
Dawa was saying he'd rather have 50 Skittles children than one Christian son.
Hmm.
So I just, when you were talking earlier about, the whole Muslim community moving to the left, I just thought that lined up perfectly with what the Dawa guys are putting out there now.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if that would follow that they suddenly will celebrate it, because I don't see
I
that
think the
being.
Muslim's point is probably that it's better to be an atheist than to worship a different god or a different. I don't know though. I didn't see that particular video. I don't follow Ali Dawa.
Any sort of unity, like a bunch of flaming, lisping dudes being like, "I love Islam." Like I don't see that happening, but and also that particular statement, from their view, it seems to be consistent. But they try to argue that would be true of Christians too, and that's where they go wrong. Because even if it's consistent from their view that a bunch of Skittles, having a bunch of Skittles son is better than having Christ be your God. I guess it's consistent. Now we have an ick reaction to it, but to be honest, if it's consistent, they're just biting a bullet that seems to be absurd, but it is consistent with their view. It's just they go wrong when they say that Christians hold the same view that in the end, and that's just we just don't hold the same position on even sin, right, itself. But it's interesting culturally though, like from your point of view, it does weigh in a little bit. There's a little weighing in there as far as the cultural movement toward what we're essentially going to be calling no more Islam. It's westernized Skittles Islam. Not really though. Like yeah, it's just liberalism. It's just Islam in some way.
They're using for LGBTQIA plus.
And we already see this. I mean, I did a review of the most cringe burqa-wearing female comedian that I've ever seen. It was just horrifying. I don't think there's anything that better constituted the merger of the West and Islam than a female cringy comedian on Netflix. I mean, it was awful. Like, we could barely make it through like 30 seconds of it. So it's already, I think what you're pointing to is already kind of in effect. It's just that the gay stuff is so loud. It's the loud version of it. But
The gay stuff.
really, if we're honest, we've seen the soft version of it all along, right? Of liberalizing.
Oh well, trucker, were you ill? I did not know. Hope you're doing well now.
Islam. You know, the
Yeah, well,
bright
I think-
colors in the hair is just like more like topical stuff.
I think.
Oh yeah, cringe as fuck. Jim Bob's channel is always cringe as fuck.
The Muslims kind of see it. I'm an Orthodox Christian as well, so I think the Muslims kind of view it in the same lens as we do. As like,
So I found it. It wasn't a timestamp I made. It was actually a clip I took of him from earlier this video, which I posted in my Discord. The arrogance of Jim Bob. So, yeah, check that out. I'll probably try to repost it on YouTube here. I'm not sure exactly where it was in this stream, but it's from early in this stream.
spiritual war more than we are in a cultural war. And I think
Where the statement he makes is that he wants to debate with people who match his own arrogance. So he acknowledges being arrogant.
leftist movements across Europe and America throwing full swing behind Palestine and really just getting deep in there in the whole pan-Arab movement. It's almost like, well, how can we take this cultural influence and throw it into the spiritual war in our favor against the Christians? That's kind of what it comes off to me with the soft.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible lung infection. I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're recovering. Yeah, I used to suffer from those a lot when I was younger. I haven't had any in recent years, but knock on wood.
I agree. It's, a good question is like, can we skip ahead in time and imagine where finally the Christians and the Islamists fought the Skittles people, and there's no rainbow flag in sight? Hooray! Put our flags down. The Islam is like, wait, you can't put that flag.
Oh,
down.
ling, not lung? What is a ling? Oh, okay. It was a lung.
Right? like in the end, I'm asking, how would we know when that's the case when they start turning and going, oh wait, you're next? Like, would we see it, or is it slow boiling? Is it so slow boiling like the frog in water that's something you can only try to get ahead of, but you could never pinpoint when it happens exactly? What do you think, Head Knock?
Yeah, I'm trying. Even when I got COVID, I didn't have much of a cough. I had a little bit of a cough and a sniffle, but it was mostly fever and body aches. So I didn't really have much respiratory shit going on. So yeah, I don't know. They say it might be the smoking that helps protect me from it, but I'm not sure.
It's the stone toss tug of war meme.
Yeah.
No, it's a counterfactual, man. Like, they can't help themselves. Like, I'm living in Spain. I already see how they behave. They cannot stop themselves. They cannot stop themselves from. Is that these people cannot behave themselves, and like it's irrational. It's an irrational hate. They cannot stop
that odd cut as Jim Bob edited the stream afterwards. If this guy apparently used profanity, Jim Bob edits that out. So.
And you cannot get them to agree to a small piece. Like right now, I'm baffled at the situation where the left wing is inviting them in, and they're making the rest of, for example, I'm in Spain. They're making the Spaniards pay for these miners that come from Morocco.
And like, Khan, bottom left. Corner still hasn't moved. Yeah, he had a cigarette too. I didn't see him light it.
Have them a block from where I live, and like they're always creating a mess everywhere. Like they're fighting amongst each other. And like, there's plenty of videos. They're like animals. I'm sorry, they're made in the image of God, but
it's the same in Britain. But this is a function of the caliber of people that we're discussing here. It's not like the Moors in North Africa who are.
Apparently, he is smoking. He's just doing it very covertly on the stream here.
Comparable to the Indonesian Muslims. It's not. It's two different groups of people with different inclinations.
I have a question though. Is it possible that in the short term, this kind of aggressive behavior, if it were, is a short-term mechanism to get people to run away from the place? You know what I mean? Like for instance, if you're in prison, right? The best thing to
This was an avatar. Oh yeah, the dude. No, by all means be mean. These guys are not nice fellows.
Do in the short term is cover yourself in your own feces, right? Just like turn into an animal so nobody wants to be by you, right? Now, I'm wondering if, because the guy in the center here, TOS guy, you're taking a full-on ontological approach to these people. I'm saying,
the Damn Show is coming on in 30 minutes. Make sure you check out the Damn Show. They've come back. Chris Mallard over there.
What if we're more charitable and say, what if that's a methodology to be like, I don't want to be by, to get people who are not you away from you, and then you behave because you're around everybody who shares your view. Is that possible?
That's not it with Islam. Their culture. I mean, especially with the Pakistani and I'm talking about the UK because I live in the UK too. And they're mostly the like second, third generation Muslims, mostly that come from Pakistan and from parts of like Moroccans and Algerians. I'm sure in Spain too there's a lot of Moroccans, I think, and those cultures are extremely detrimental to Western society because they're completely animalistic, and like it's like the complete opposite of like what you would say like is etiquette or anything that's like acceptable on a sidewalk in the West, So
well, no, I mean,
acceptable on a sidewalk. Yeah, not nice fellows. Did smoke for a decade, but quit in 2005, and screens have been clear. Well, congratulations on the quitting. I've tried, and it's not worked out well for me. Maybe watch a few more minutes of this. Announcement. So, yeah, September 8th, there will be a show going on at the Boardwalk in Orangevale, California. Apparently, they're starting a brunch like super early. It's going to be starting at like 10:30, and then the bands will be going on around noon or 1. The Trusty Apes will be playing. As far as I know, there's no cover charge. It is a birthday party. The venue's been rented. But I'm not sure about invitation. So if anybody happens to be in the area and wants to come through, let me know, and I will make sure that your name is on the list, because the Trusty Apes will be performing.
To be fair, the modern, not advanced society also allows for, like a rainbow parade. A rainbow parade to me is not at the same level of aggression as what the TOS guy said. But certainly equal in a category, at least, not the same level, but something that's like, okay, well, modernity.
So who knows what he said because they cut it out, right? But obviously something, anti-LGBTQIA plus. A gay pride parade or a pride parade is not aggressive in any way. It's just as much a First Amendment demonstration as any other.
Civilized people, right? Non-animalistic societies that are fully realized in their technology and advancements, coincidentally provide. So it's kind of like I don't know that what you point to as the West.
But it is a parade.
Currently, as it stands, which is also liberalism, just it doesn't allow for the same. Not the same exact kind of degeneracy, but certainly perpetual.
So Jim Bob apparently thinks that anybody who has a function, right, a public function, that does not align with his own values is aggressive. That's his take.
Or see visually,
hot take
public indecency, even if it's not violent, it's still just as
public
harmful.
Public indecency.
And decays the West's values. The same, right? So
those are your values. They're not shared by everyone in quote unquote the West.
And Christian, not West, as like a. I think I meant Christian values, but
yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
There you
but
go.
Something I've struggled with myself is, at the end of the day, where do we draw like the distinction between accepting something and allowing something? So to be kind of accepting of cultures or other beliefs, and then when is it kind of at the stage of empowering certain
this guy
things?
on the bottom looks angry. He looks very angry.
So where do we draw that distinction? It feels like a bit of a challenge.
He says cooler with the anti-Semitic remarks, okay? I don't know. I don't freaking know. That's why I want a monarchy, so I can refer to a hierarchical, patriarchal system that can at least deliberate on these things. But unfortunately, we don't even have that. What we have is a bunch of particulars called families who kind of overlap in values. And then those of us who are Orthodox or on our way to Orthodoxy, we don't look at the church at this point as some sort of dictating authority on cultural things, right? It could be eventually. It's just that we're not in a position as like, it's not like a gun in the holster. It doesn't serve us that way, right?
And on that note, in other announcements, I'll be working on creating this group Path of Equanimity. Tentatively, I'll probably plan to do it on Saturday mornings around this time. So that'll be Pacific time. Saturday in the morning. Students crying out for monarchy. Yes, among other just strange shit he says. Yeah.
But
because at the end of the day, right now, it just feels like blind acceptance is what is the prescriptive. Where there has to be some point where you kind of like. No.
And they are. This guy's in the school with the Andrew Wilson. They are calling for Christian nationalism and fascism.
Not accepted.
Yeah, I think that's ends up being determined.
There's no line.
There's no line. Yeah, that's the line. That is, Jordan Peterson used to ask that question ironically, like, where's the line? How far is too far? And it's like, well, under liberalism, there is no too far because there's no standard. So the question is who is he asking? Well, he's asking a bunch of classical liberals who wear the blue shirt. Like it's a baseless question, right? Because you're asking.
Oh, he likes his own freedom just fine. He just doesn't like for other people to have equal rights. He thinks that only good Christians like himself should have voices.
classical liberals, where's the line of the other bad liberalism? And the classical liberalism goes, I have no idea because I'm not an authoritarian, and the authoritarians are never asked. So I think the only thing we have is our local systems to start. It starts with the family.
And when I say that, I mean he's actually a terrible Christian. He's probably one of the worst examples of Christianity on the internet. He's just an awful person.
It starts with the church and the family, and then as it sprawls out, you can start to see, well, you can hold people to account in your local area, whether it's through whatever shitty version of democracy we have, or just flat out calling people out. Like, that's what it takes. Doing aggressive, vocal shame tactics of when you see indecency and just pointing it out and saying it. Like, that holds a lot of weight, more than people. Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, this is what I thought the crux of it comes down to is that people all right now, but then we're sitting with the problem where it's clearly showing now that lines need to be drawn and distinctions need to be made, and not by consensus.
You're roboting a lot. You're roboting a lot. I think it's
some higher moral structure.
I can't even hear him.
Yeah, I think it's you're roboting a lot. You're roboting a lot. Hey, you just got on. I can't pronounce your name because it's just a bunch of lines to me.
George. Okay. It's going okay. I want to speak about Islam. It seems that people don't notice that Islam because so on are giving money.
Is a submissive mess. Yeah, I think he is married. He doesn't talk too much about that, or I haven't heard him talk too much about it. But I would imagine she is probably the latter, that submissive mess. If his claims being married are even true, I just take England at their word.
So on. So they are putting their version of Islam to the West. So in the past, you didn't have Muslims that wear hijab in Europe. Like they didn't wear. They were much more westernized. But today, Muslims in the West are becoming much more like with their money, oil money. It's spreading in the Europe and America and so on. So,
got you. And the influence of oil money is modernity, starting with shit like McDonald's to start. You start with food. You know, people don't usually talk about that. Food, and it's like, oh well, what's the big deal? Well, it is a kind of an opening, isn't it? Like I'm not going to make a slippery slope statement, but it's certainly the first stage that you see as far as expanding democracy and freedom. Is from the corporate American standpoint are not Western values; they're just Western amenities. They're just
exactly. He would be the women should be silent type for sure. Yeah. The standard is to treat every person with respect. I'd agree to that. So I'll probably wrap up here. For now, I'm drinking a Mountain Dew Liberty Chill, one of a few Mountain Dew flavors I have not tried. It's actually pretty decent, but it reminds me of the Voltage flavor that they used to have. So I think it might just be identical in flavor, and they've just repackaged it to have the Statue of Liberty riding on a motorcycle. Amazing. I had some other announcements, but I forgot what they were, honestly. I didn't make a list. But yeah, I gotta get out of here and start getting ready for my day. So yeah, go check out Brojo's stream later. And if he's doing a karaoke stream, that'll be cool. I guess it's a holiday weekend. I didn't know anything about that. No, I'm not even paying attention. But yeah, I'll be, with any luck here, going back to work shortly. And was there one other thing? Yeah, just a bunch of bullshit, dealing with life, but dealing with it soberly. Thank you, Sammy. Appreciate it. Motorcycles are life. I hope Dickweed here is ready to start eating indigenous North American foods, because that's what he's arguing for. Indeed. Oh, Labor Day. Yeah, I thought it was one of those. So no wearing white, right? One of those holidays. All right. So have a great Friday, everybody. Much love. Be well and stay trusty. See you later.